Perhaps our greatest source of information regarding comets in the ancient world was Gaius Plinius Secundus, also known as Pliny the Elder. In his Naturalis Historia, his natural history, he deals with the topic of both comets and meteors in his section on astronomy. Pliny the Elder was a Roman historian, geographer, lawyer, a military man. Here is an image of Pliny the Elder and his book, The Natural History. He mentions that the word comet in both Greek and Latin refer to long-haired stars as cometes. He mentions comets in his astronomy section 89 through 94 and meteors in section 96. Now, I think this mention of meteors may be significant in regards to the Draconid meteor shower, which appears in late November and may be connected to this Pons-Brooks comet, as well as the Millerite movement and the Great Disappointment of 1844. But I will discuss that in another section. He gives examples of 5 different comets in his astronomy section. First, he cites an ancient comet seen by both the Egyptians and the Ethiopians, whom he refers to the Greek monster Typhon, but in the ancient Egyptian mythology would be Apheth or Apophis. Here is an image of the Greek monster Typhon. Here is an image of the Egyptian monster Apheth or Apophis. Next, he cites a comet that was sighted in 49 BCE during the Roman Civil War between Pompeius Magnus, or Pompey the Great, and Julius Caesar, Julius Caesar. Here is an image of Pompey the Great. Here is an image of Julius Caesar. Significantly, Pliny the Elder mentions that it was only in Rome that a comet was worshipped at the temple of Divus Julius, the divine Julius, as I mentioned in the previous section, which suggests that other than that, comets were considered bad omens. Indeed, in 1528 CE, Martin Luther called comets the harlot stars. Indeed, the next comet which Pliny the Elder seems to mention is this Comet of Caesar, which was seen over Rome for 7 days in 44 BCE. Next, he cites a comet that was seen in the year 54 CE during the reigns of both Claudius Caesar and Nero Caesar, which coincided with the poisoning and death of Claudius. Here is an image of Claudius Caesar. Here is an image of Nero Caesar. Lastly, he cites a comet that was seen during the reign of Titus Caesar in the year 76 CE. Interestingly, as I will cite in the next section, Flavius Josephus, the Jewish historian, also mentioned a comet that was sighted in the year 66 CE, probably during the time that Titus was the general fighting the Great War between the Jews and the Romans. Here is an image of Titus Caesar. Pliny the Elder mentions several factors in regards to comets, which we can apply to ancient astrology. First of all, he mentions a northern dragon and a southern dragon in connection to comets, which I think might be an astrological reference to the 2 nodes of the moon, the north node and the south node, the dragon's head and the dragon's tail, which are the axis nodes upon which eclipses happen. As I will mention later, the Sepher Yetzirah, the Book of Formation, seems to mention that the Caput Draconis, the dragon's head, and the Cauda Draconis, the dragon's tail, are related to the the Tele mentioned in the book of Job. The Sepher Yetzirah, the book of formation, also mentions that the Tele in the book of Job may refer to the constellation of Draco, the dragon. He also mentions these comets in regards to trines and squares, which are astrological configurations or aspects. Furthermore, he mentions comets in regards to the altitude of certain fixed stars. He mentions that some people thought that it was significant the direction from which the comet begins. Significantly, in my opinion, he mentions that some people thought it was also important the star from which the comet draws its strength, which in this case with the Pons Brook comet seems to have drawn its strength from Draco, the constellation of the dragon, also known as the Tele in the book of Job. I will discuss this matter in another section. He also mentions that some people thought it was significant what the comet resembled, which I think is important in regards to the Pons Brook comet as well. And lastly, he mentions that some people thought it was significant the place in which the comet shone, which I think might have certain applications to the Pons Brook comet and its coma.